Combine Talks.
Hi, I'm Duda Carvalho, and I'm glad you're here watching us. Welcome to the first edition of Combine Talks, a space we created to have conversations that don't usually happen in hiring meetings, but really should. And let me already share what we have been seeing. Global hiring has become more common, but not necessarily more thoughtful. Many companies say we're open to hiring internationally, but very few are asking, what kind of culture are we building when we do that? How do we lead and onboard talent when we may never meet this person? What becomes possible when we stop seeing global hiring as a workaround and start seeing as a real strategy? So let's deep dive on it and use this space for honest, strategic conversations about how we hire across borders, cultures, time zones, and what that really means for the companies and people involved. So that's the space Combine lives in, and that's why we created this talk. So welcome. I'm Duda Carvalho, and I lead global talent strategy here at Combine. Over the last decade, I've worked across tech, social impact, finance, services, retail, with companies hiring locally, regionally, and globally. I've been a recruitment manager, a people partner, and a leadership coach. And somewhere along the path, I realized something. Most hiring conversations are too small. They're super about headcount, budgets, skill checklists. But hiring is never just about filling a seat. It's about shaping how a team evolves. So today, I work with companies that are asking bigger questions like, how do we grow without breaking our culture? How do we make hiring faster without making it shallow? And how do we build teams across borders that feel aligned, not just remote? So these questions are exactly what led me to Combine. And Combine is a global recruitment partner, but we don't think like traditional recruiters. We see that intersection of business strategy, culture intelligence, and people architecture. So in the last 5 years, we've partnered with more than 120 companies from Sao Paulo to San Francisco, from early stage startups to public institutions, helping them not just to hire, but structure growth. So at Combine, we believe recruitment is not just about the filling roles. It's about shaping what the company becomes next. So that's the work we do, and that's why this conversation matters. So to open this series, we invited two incredible women who bring complementary and very grounded perspectives on global hiring. One leading people and culture inside of one of New York's most important social service organizations, and one enabling dozens of fast growing companies to build global teams with confidence and clarity. So, for starters, let me introduce Donna. We have Donna here. She's a Chief Human Resources Officer or Chief People Officer, the Jewish part, the largest provider of mental health and social services in New York. She's leading people and culture in a mission driven, high regulated organization. And that comes with unique challenge, especially when we're thinking what hybrid work and global hiring can look like. So over the past 2 years, we have the honor of supporting part of that journey and watching how Donna balances structure, CAD, and long-term vision has been incredibly inspiring. And also let me introduce Ligia. She's a LATAM Partnerships Manager at Deel. That is a company reshaping what it means to hire and operate globally. So Ligia supports some of the most fast-paced, high-growth companies all over the world, helping them scale distributed teams with structure, agility, and compliance. And we also partner with Deel for a little over 4 years. And Ligia brings a unique combination of big picture thinking and on the ground precision to every conversation. So today isn't just about systems or playbooks, it's about people, culture, and what changes for the better when we cross borders with intention. So, with all that being said, I want to do the first question to you girls. At what point did hiring internationally stop being a workaround and started becoming part of your company's strategy? And when you started expanding, what were your fears, your dreams, your expectations? How did that turn out?
I can start.
Yeah.
Hiring internationally, it did start out as a workaround. We were trying to find ways to fill urgent talent gaps locally, but those pools were very limited. And it didn't take long for us to realize that doing this wasn't just a temporary fix. What we quickly found out was that the quality, creativity, and the diversity of thought that came with hiring international talent really elevated our work, to be honest. And so we changed our mindset and we shifted, and we understood that international hiring was a solution. It was a strategic solution for us. And so when we started expanding globally, we had our fears. We had our fears, but we had dreams. We worried about because you don't know what you don't know. So time zones, communication barriers, making sure that we were able to maintain a cohesive cultural cohesion in culture across the borders. We wanted this team to work because we saw that a culturally diverse team could bring fresh perspective. And as an agency, it helped us tap into really a new market, a new candidate pool. And because we are an agency that serves culturally diverse people here in New York City, it also made perfect sense. It's been really transformative for us.
Yeah, I would connect with what Donna just shared because I'm in the other side. I am the Latin America employee that is hired by mainly for me, in my case, a West-based company. And generally, there is this misconception that Latin America it's mainly a cost-saving destinations for hiring. But we've seen and we have like the benefit of using all Deel platform data to understand that we've seen this shift now because there is now a real sense of talent density and mainly in technical development and commercial roles for Latin America. And what I realize is that all the companies start as a workaround the international hiring to maybe solve a low hanging fruit problem like cost saving or talent gaps or something like that. But what it turns is that companies realize that this diversity, as Donna shared, and this multicultural way of thinking will support companies to actually grow faster and serve more diversity in terms of customers too. So this is what I'm seeing now. It's beneficial for both parts.
For sure, for sure. And Ligia, would you say the companies in Jewish position, for instance, that shifted and it's still shifting because we're still arranging more and more new hirings and adapting? Would you say like that companies in the same moment as Jewish usually reach this point reactively, or is this mindset changing earlier these days?
It depends. It depends because what I'm seeing is that when you have like a smaller company, a startup that is start building their solution and it has some kind of ability now for those startups to start thinking from day one in going global. That's what happens with Deal. Deal it's a 6 years old company and we are already in a 1 billion run rate on revenue. So it grows super fast. If I'm not mistaken, it's the fastest B2B startup growing in the world. And what I realize is that if you are an startup, if you already have this mindset of growing internationally, fast growing, more aggressive strategy, it's now a mindset that it's from day one, starts from day one. But if you're considering more consolidating companies that already knows how to operate in their market, this is actually a mind shift. This is not something that they are used with. They are super concerned with, and they should be actually super concerned with regulatories, with compliance, with labor laws, etc. So it depends on where you're looking on the business side.
Yeah, for sure. It's super interesting how when the right partner enters the conversation early, such as Deel or Combine, and help these companies like Jewish Board to help them scale and to help reach this global talent, because we are not only closing a gap of diversity, but you're also making sure that the business continues to grow with more, as we like to call here at Combine, brain power. So people are bringing different ideas, different solutions, and you start to address complex problems into simple solutions, and that's the best way possible that any company can navigate through like crisis and any type of barriers when it comes to expanding. And since we're talking about multiculturality, I would like to ask you guys like how was having talent from different countries and backgrounds influence the way your team makes decisions, solve problems, and or builds culture? Donna, if you can start answering, that would be amazing as well.
Sure. For us, having talent from different countries, different backgrounds, it's profoundly shaped the way our team approaches decision making, problem solving, the way we address culture in our agency. The diversity of perspective, it brings a richness to our discussions that we wouldn't normally have in our organization. It allows us to challenge assumptions and it broadens our thinking. And it really leads to more innovative and more inclusive solutioning around just about everything. To be honest, when we make decisions based on someone who has a different cultural perspective, it really helps us highlight, risks maybe we hadn't thought about, because sometimes, we may think very singularly about something, and we may not consider what are the blind spots here, what are the risks to doing this. We make more well-rounded choices and decisions, truly. And really, it's made us more, as an agency, having talent from different countries has made us more intentional about how we communicate and collaborate around anything. Really, we find that as an agency, we become more curious. We really hone in on how people work and their different work styles. And for us, it's really about just creating a culture where diversity is celebrated. We're very excited. We're very excited to be an agency that has always been culturally diverse. It's the wonderful thing about working in New York and being in New York. But for us, we really, really made sure to keep the benefits of having a culturally diverse workforce in mind in everything we do. So,
And are you seeing some like more productivity, efficiency inside your own teams because of that?
yes, I mean, great thing about having a diverse workforce, a culturally diverse workforce, is that people bring different ideas and different ways to do things. Again, it's all about, for us, tapping into people's strengths and leveraging that strength to do the work. So for us, yes, we've seen our global workforce just come in ready with new ideas, and really thinking differently about how we do the work and presenting those new ideas to leadership. So it's been very beneficial for us.
Amazing. And Ligia, what are some tangible benefits you have seen when companies truly commit to multicultural teams beyond just hiring across time zones?
Can I just add my fifth chance
Of
on what
course.
Donna just shared? Because she's seeing results, she's seeing increase in productivity in the results, etc. But what I see is, if you treat your international workforce as only a cost saving team, they will feel it, and they will somehow behavior like they are not part of it. So it's not because you have like an international team, a diversity team, that you will have and will increase your numbers, your results. It's because the way it's about how the way how you position this team internally, how you give them the ability to share and to contribute in the companies, in the business decisions. So I think Donna is seeing good results because she's managing really well this. She's trying to be as much as inclusive as she can. This is the way. But the opposite could happen too if you treat your international team only as a cost saving
Mhm.
uh, unit. So sorry, Duda, can you please repeat your
No, for
question?
sure. I can repeat how many times you want. That's not a problem. We are totally agreed on this one. So you already said some benefits, but while you're giving your replica to Donna, but what are
Yeah,
benefits you have seen in when the companies
yeah.
they commit or beyond just hiring to do some cost saving or just hiring across time zones?
This is a great question, and I faced a situation this week that we had like a Canadian, Brazilian, Colombian, an American, North American. we are all in the same situation, trying to figure out how to replicate an event that we have in North America that it was super successful with event, and how could we replicate that for Latin America. And we are setting up a sponsorship agreement and proposal, and it was super funny because this sponsorship agreement was created by a Canadian, basically. And here in Latin America, we are known by our empathy and our will to work with propose. It's not about numbers. It's not about only numbers. It's about numbers, but not only about numbers. It's not. So we have this emotional component when we are working for someone else. So, and we are working. Everything we do should be not everyone. I'm generalizing here. I don't want to do that, but we are known about that. And this definitely happened because we have emotional connection with our jobs, with our colleagues, etc. And it was funny because I saw this sponsor agreement and I was, my God, this is so cold. This is not telling the partner that we are actually partner with them. And the Colombian one also shared with me the same opinion, and then we start co-creating this sponsorship together, and it was much better for from what I we had before previously. So the final results was much more inclusive and much more aligned with the audience we would like to talk with. So this is a small example on how multicultural impacted the outcome of an initiative. But this is how I would like people to see how important it is. If you want to go to market faster in other regions, you would go to market much faster if you already have someone from that region building with you in the business, you know.
Definitely. As you two are talking, like we're seeing that all this workaround, they start as a workaround, and then it becomes a shift, a whole shift in the company. And then when you start seeing the results, we see the bigger picture and we see the small picture. So we see the macros and the micros. So how it impacts the solutions that we provide and how we provide. So if we're talking here about the golden circle, when we add some flavors of global people working, everything changes. And as I'm listening to you talking, is really about uh, structuring better teams and becoming better professionals as driving results in a more diverse way. So it impacts territory expansion, new businesses, new services, the way we tackle our audiences, and how do we make impact, because impact can be, of course, as Jewish does, really in a social mission, but it also in a corporate mission, it can help both ways. So that's not, there's no limits to the benefits when we are talking about mixing people from different backgrounds in the company. So last question about it that I have is like, what makes the difference between culturally different voices just joining and actually influencing the company in real ways? Like, what have you seen around it?
Uh, I'll start there. So I think for us, it comes down to intention, intentional inclusion, and intention in how we look at structural empowerment. For us, it's not enough to just have diverse voices at the table. You have to make sure that people are heard, right? And that they're heard, they're respected, and that they feel like they have and they truly have real decision making power, that they can, that there is a participatory management component. For us, our international staff are not just staff; they're not just talent, right? But we've had wonderful experiences watching that international talent grow into people leaders in our organization. Right? So now they're in a position to make critical decisions around the work that they do. and align those decisions with our agency's mission, vision, and values. But what they're also able to do is support the growth of other people, other staff. And that's exciting because they are now influencers and mentors in our organization. So for us, the real difference when you have culturally different voices joining and actually influencing the company is that it's having those voices, those people really become fabric of the agency. They become, the leaders that the high potential leaders in our organization. It's that inclusion is so key for us. So, and we're excited. We're excited to have it.
This is so important what you just shared, Donna, because it's about being intentional. I 100% agree. And me as a Latin America worker, it's so inspiring when I see people that came from where I am now succeeding in international business. And more than expiring, this reflects me on how far I can go and makes me want to do it better and to be more competitive on a good way
Mhm.
with my colleagues because I do believe I have this representation in the place where I see myself in 5, 10 years, whatever.
Mhm.
So I'm super happy to hear that from you, and I wish more people could do the same.
Yeah, definitely. Like what Donna just brought us is something that is so unique that I never see this kind of magic happening with companies that doesn't have this intention. I mean, I've worked in global companies, not Combine is just one of them. Best one so far. Joking. Actually, not joking. But when we are talking about this intention, it of course, when we are thinking just with numbers, we're thinking super rationally. We're talking about results. We're talking about KPIs. We're talking about faster roadmaps. We're talking about results, results, and results. But often people forgets that to the result happen, there are a main resource called people. They have to be happy, they have to be mingled, they have to know their surroundings, they have to feel part of something. So when you have this intention and you do all this effort to include everyone in the conversation, so not just having different voices but actually influence people, you build like a net. You don't build like people that are spread over the organization, in the org charts. They stop being that cards that you connect, from, okay, Donna is the CPO, and Donna is the leader of X, Y, and Z. But like it's Donna's net, and Donna's net connect with others and other stakeholders, internal, external. Everybody gathers around for the same objective. So there's less friction regarding relationships. There's less friction regarding leadership skills. There's less friction almost about everything. And that's, I guess, the dream for all the companies, all the organizations, like having something smooth. Of course, there's problems in every company. In by the end, we are still human and we are troubled. But when you have this intention to include everybody, it makes so much easier and
Mhm.
so much faster and so smooth. And people usually don't even notice when it's something natural in the company. So
Mhm.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
And by building this net that you mentioned, Duda, all the companies wants to be unique. All the companies say that they are different, but how they are actually different, how they are exclusively, how they are unique, it's with the net that they have internally. So
Mhm.
this is the way to get the final results, right?
Right.
Exactly. Exactly. And we often notice that when the hiring process is intentional from the beginning, those difference they stop being like disruption when like the market loves to use this word still, but it becomes design, because you're actually tailoring everything with your own hands to build this nice orchestra. So that being said, I wanted to talk with you about onboarding and belonging because we're talking now about belonging. So, how do you make someone who's never walked into your office feel like truly belong? Donna, share your magic with us, please.
I am going to be a broken record on this point. Intention, 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 intention. It starts with us being intentional about how we onboard international talent, making sure that they are immersed into every part of the employee experience, right? Not just relying on physical proximity or, but really making space for people to bring their full selves to work and understanding and recognizing that everyone comes with something special, right? They come with a uniqueness and being open and understanding to all of that uniqueness, whether that be around communication and communication styles or understanding everybody's individual story. Duda, you said it, like we're talking about people, right? This is about people, data and metrics, KPIs, yeah, that's there. But we're talking about people. For us, one thing that's worked especially well is creating rituals that are inclusive by design. So one of the things we do, and I love that we do this. So every year we sponsor a trip for our international talent to come to New York to attend a symposium, spotlighting work that they have done, right? So they come to the symposium, they get to hang out in New York City for a week, they get to meet and speak with staff that they've only seen on Zoom or Teams, right? Over the past year, they get to visit programs that so they can see what our operations look like, and they can see some of the work that they've helped to put forward, implemented in those programs. We make sure that we give them in that space, when they're here, we the senior leadership, we make sure we create opportunities to really sit and speak to them and listen and ask for feedback. And when we hear the feedback, right, when we hear the feedback, it's not just hearing it but then acting on it, right? If there are things, because again, their voice is valuable. It goes back to not only being at the table, but being a respected voice at the table. We get feedback, we act on the feedback, we make it, make sure that people understand that their perspective matters. We try to build belonging not by focusing on proximity, but really focusing in on intentionality and purpose. And that has worked wonders for us as an organization.
Wow.
I don't even know what to say because Donna just just said what I would say and what I think it's the right way of doing it. I would I I would just add additionally to be intentional and to make people feel they are part of it. Not make people feel, but so helping people understand that they are part of the decisions. They are part of something um, impactful and bigger. Additionally to that, I would say that from my standing point, it's important to understand that I can be myself, not only myself as a Brazilian woman, but myself as a Brazilian woman who is a mother, who is a lesbian, who is also Latin America. And I like to exchange and talk to people in my work environment that it's also comfortable in their skin. And this makes such a high impact when we are talking about productivity results and etc. And we don't realize because one tricky thing about working with an international team is previously when I wasn't so experiencing doing that, I thought I used to think that I had to adapt myself on the other way of communicating. And sure, we should do both sides and efforts to get an alignment on the communication, on the everything. But it's also important to feel that we are making this alignment so we get along together and we produce better things together, not because I am afraid of what you're gonna think about me and etc. So this is what I would add about being intentional also in how do you provide people with security, with confidence to be themselves, you know?
It's hard to make some any comments. I'm trying to collect words to say what you just talked in here. Let just remember that Donna started saying that she will be a broken record, and then again she exploded the conversation.
Exactly.
And then comes with, wow, you know, like you're both are amazing. I actually forgot the question that I had, but I have another one in my pocket. Actually, for Ligia, what are some of the things that you've seen work best in the kind of context where the company is bringing new talent globally and they have to like start from scratch on their onboarding and belonging programs?
It's always hard to start things from scratch, right? And when it comes about international hiring, companies just have to face with lots of things. This is why Deal exists, actually. They have to face with, from the beginning, with regulatory uncertainty, legal compliance, limited local experience. It's hard to find the right talent, so that's why Combine exists. That's why we are partnering together with a successful in a successful way. But the main thing here that I see people companies don't think global since the beginning. They usually have like the hard time when they start with it. Donna is here to say that I'm not lying, right, Donna?
Yeah,
But
absolutely. Absolutely.
but that's the thing. It requires a lot of leadership, management, process, communication changes, and adaptations also. And again, intentional, I think, will be the word for this podcast. But companies must be more intentional to be inclusive for everyone, not only for, I don't know, for the Latin Americas, but for everyone, really. And the big changes that, now answering actually your question, the big change that I see is that if you are now thinking global, hiring global, and you're having multicultural team, you probably have already faced with lots of challenges and to get where you are now. And this makes you as a company more stronger than before, and stronger to face new challenges. What I see is that companies with this global mindset, mainly with related with people with hiring, this kind of companies, they know how to operate on not so friendly environment, that it's basically on emerged economies, on with emerged teams, and so on. So when it comes about, I'm not a salesperson, so it's hard for me not to think about sales. But when it comes to bringing new revenue, bringing good results, and you already have a team, an international team, the outcome for that is that you will grow much faster. You will have a faster go to market. You will will have more adaptability from for everything that is happening before and in the future. So that's my guess. That's what I actually that I'm seeing with deal customers. It's different how they operate, and they have more ability to operate in a controversial environment, I would say.
Good. And a last question. Looking for the Jewish reality, Donna, is it harder to protect the culture that you already have, or to let it evolve with the new voices coming in?
You know, it change is inevitable. That's the one thing we embrace as an agency. Change is inevitable, and change in every way. You know, and so for us, this shift has been one that has just gone hand in hand with a lot of the change, you know, that's been going on in our organization. And so for us, this is, you know, it's been fairly easy to uh, adapt and evolve in this way. You know, I think Lee just said it best when she said, there are challenges. There were challenges at the beginning because this was new for us. We had a large learning curve, a large learning curve. But once we got, you know, once we got over that, and we had great partners. Let me just say, we had great support and great partners as we were beginning this journey. We got a lot of information. We were able to, we made some mistakes at the beginning, but, we were able to correct that and move forward. And so for us, all of this is just part of our culture growing, expanding, for us becoming even more diverse as an organization, which we're very happy about. And so we embrace this. We embrace the evolution. I think for many years, and I will say prior to COVID, we were probably that agency that was stuck in this place where we always did things because we always did it that way. We do this because we've always done it that way. COVID, I think, taught the world something different. So for us, it was one of the very immediate changes was that we could do things different. We could expand our talent pool, not to just New York, to folks in New York, but people around the world. And that's been a very exciting journey for us. So we embrace it. We embrace this change.
Yeah, this is one of the hardest things that we also see in organizations in general. Like people usually tend to freeze the changes. When you're talking about culture, onboarding is like the first step of making someone wear the company's t-shirt, wear the company's hats. So when people are like, we do this because we have done this and it's working, usually the innovation doesn't come in as well. So it's really important when the hiring process carries the company's tone and values clearly, because then onboarding tend to feel less like a start from scratch with new people, and start being more as a natural continuation of who's coming in, who's changing everything, and it's evolving naturally. So that's really important. It's important to change and embrace that things will evolve. Things need to be better. There's not a single thing in this world that it's perfect. So there's always room for improvement, and people help organizations to reach what is closest to it. So that's really important. And looking back for to something that Ligia brought a few times during this conversation, that was talking about cost cutting, cost saving, in looking from this cost cutting or cost saving from strategic investment. I would like to ask you both, what were the first real signs that your global hiring model was paying off, not just in cost, but in impact?
The first real signs for us. I would say that one of the first real signs for us was that we are an agency that we've started. So talking about evolution and change, we're evolving into an agency that really looks at KPIs, data, metrics to inform our work. And I think one of the first indications for us that this was a great move was watching how work was moving forward and how it was moving forward quickly, how we were able to create KPIs and have measures met, and it was a turnaround from what we had seen prior to bringing on our international talent, because a lot of our international talent were working in quality spaces. So they were working in quality and project management. And these are the areas where we as an agency needed folks to help move work forward and push it and make it, get it to a finish line. And we were seeing that. So it was for us, it was pretty, it was pretty quick, where, we saw, wow, we're completing projects. We have structure, we have clear KPIs around things. It was amazing. So we saw pretty quickly how this was turning us around as an organization.
And I like to add something for all the manager, executive, founders, owners, etc., that is listening to us or watching to us now, that it's fine to have this decision motivated by cost saving. It's okay as long as you are not focused only on that side. As long as people that you're hiring with this objective, with this target, don't feel that it's all about that. So that's why I am so amazed for everything by everything that Donna shared. So this is my 2 cents here.
For sure. And did those wins come more from the talent itself or from how the hiring process was structured, communicated, and supported? Or both of them, or
I
the
think
mix
it,
of it?
yeah, I think it was a mix of both. I think it was a mix of both. If I'm being honest, I don't know that as an organization we were, I look, we went in first with around cost savings. So that was our initial thought. But what we didn't anticipate is how much value our international talent would bring to this work. And I'm talking about in every way, just not only with the skills that they come with, but just their understanding of the work that we do and why we do it. We're a human service organization, we're mission driven. And no matter what you do in our organization, you have to be able to embrace that, right? That's what makes the work. It doesn't matter if you work in HR, you work in fiscal, or if you work in quality or compliance. You have to understand and embrace the mission and vision of this organization. And our international talent have been able to do that. They've really immersed themselves in the agency's culture. We as an organization have always tried to we make it a point to check in, answer questions, involve our international talent in aspects of our agency that typically or historically offshore staff would never be immersed in, right? So town halls, they're a part of our town hall meetings. If when we have, like I said, we every year when we have our international talent come to New York, we make sure that they get as much exposure to being in, like, they see our headquarters, they go to our headquarters, they're able to work out of our headquarters for that week. So can I say the word again?
Yeah.
Intention. It's about being very mindful, being very intentional about every step of onboarding process, of the employee life cycle, and what that looks like for our international talent.
Yeah, I agree. It's a combination of both that would drive results. It's not only about being diverse. I remember when back in 2015, I worked for a startup, and they were, oh, diversity, diversity. Let's start hiring LGBT people, and then they hired like a trans, and this trans person, she didn't feel like she was part of it, we didn't have the knowledge, me as a team member, a colleague, we didn't have the knowledge on how to make her feel comfortable with all the environment, the corporative environment. So again, it's about being
Intention.
intentional.
And Ligia, do you often anticipate those unexpected gains when you're guiding clients through this shift?
This is not something that we typically do because this has to come more from them than from us, I can't sell like the dream that don't rely 100% on deal. So I must every salesperson at Deal, they are super consultative, and they try to follow the process, always helping before asking something. So this is something that is super cool actually in Deal. This is maybe the reason why we grow up so fast too, but we don't anticipate those things, those benefits. Generally speaking, they come to us for cost saving, and they get the benefits after that.
And they share with you.
Yeah, They share because they keep growing. They keep growing. And what Deal does, it's mainly facilitate to hire anywhere, anyone, anywhere. So you don't have to have an entity open to hire someone, to register, to have this person as direct employee. You don't have to, I don't know, have like a human resource based out in the region. So it turns everything in a more broader vision on I need to hire this profile. Doesn't matter where these people live, you know?
Yeah, of course. And if you had to name the top three misconceptions about global hiring, what would be on your list, girls?
That it's only cost saving is the first one.
That's one of my, yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah.
What
This
else?
is the main one, I think, but I also think that one misconception that it's all about what we solve as a company in Deal, it's that you must have lots of money to get started with an operation abroad, offshore. So you don't have to have a lot of money. It's not so expensive as it used to be before. Nowadays, we don't have only Deal, but we have many more solutions that we can rely on to get things faster and more cost effective too.
I think another misconception is that it's hard that time zones and cultural differences make collaboration difficult or impossible, right? I think and we found this just working with Combine, right? That it's when you have people who want the same thing, you can work through any challenge. I won't say that sometimes those things aren't difficult, but they're not a deal breaker. Like you work through it. I've often, because some of our international workers work in really, like in crazy time zones. We have folks from India who work with us. So when we're working during our business hours, it's middle of the night for them in India. And so, but we've been able to make it work. We've been able to still collaborate effectively. We've been able to set expectations and understand from our talent's perspective what works and what doesn't work. So I think that's another misconception.
That's perfect. And I totally agree.
Mm.
There is something that it's super almost religious to me that is asynchronous work. So when you start um, learning about it, life gets so easier,
Mhm.
because then you can expect answers, progresses, and so on. So it stops feeling like everything needs to be immediate to work, and it doesn't work like that. To Yeah, people know their responsibility, they're here for the same objective, so they will get the job done, and they don't need to have this kind of crazy control over that. So asynchronous work, it's one of the best things on earth. And then after everything is so mature in this async work, then you start being like actually enabling people to be autonomous, and that's where the real work happens. And in the process that we have seen up close, it's often the invisible misalignments, not the technical stuff, that slow things down. So the good news is that they usually are solvable upfront. So that's pretty much it. We are getting the last minutes of our combined talks. So I have like a symbolic final question. So if you could pack one value or principle, and of course we're talking a lot about intention. So I'm not going to let you use this word now. So if you could pack one value or principle into every global hires virtual suitcase, what would it be? I know intention
No
would be
one
the
can
name
do.
for this question.
No intention is forbidden. I think for me, it will be inclusive. You should think about inclusion.
And I think for me, if I'm thinking about what should be packed into every global hires virtual suitcase, it would be maybe curiosity. Maybe curiosity about work, curiosity about people, curiosity about cultures and perspectives. I think when I think about curiosity, it's giving people agency to ask questions. right? Giving people the, the agency to ask, why do we do this way, or can we try this? I think that's probably the word I would use next.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you so much, Ligia. What we heard today reinforces something we see often, that global hiring isn't about location, it is about intention, clarity, and human design and inclusiveness. So, when that's in place, when voices are heard, process makes sense, culture is shared, companies grow stronger, faster, and more meaningfully. So, thank you both so much for sharing your vision with us. Stay tuned for our next combined talks. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Ligia. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the
Thank,
invitation.
yes, thank you.
My pleasure too.
Combine Talks.